Hi, my name is Josie Meléndez here with the CherryPicks, and it's so lovely to sit down and speak with you both. You both have such great careers, and it's so delightful to see you both working together. And to start off, I wanted to know what drew you to the long game, or what made you decide to pursue this story and these characters?
Um,
Um,
I'll
you,
start. You want to, yeah, go
you go first.
ahead. Go ahead.
No, you.
Okay, fine. I was instantly drawn to the story. I felt like, obviously it's a true story based on true events written by, and Humberto Garcia, who wrote a novel on it, which then inspired me to read the novel because I just had to know. I didn't even know this story existed. And I, I mean, other besides feeling inspired and moved by it, I was like, I want to be challenged and not and go outside of my comfort zone and not play the firefighter, cop, marine, detective, and just to be that supporting wife and guide my husband during this transition in his life, being a veteran and witnessing all the injustice and prejudice. I was like, this is beautiful. And the fact that all these Latinos get to be in front and behind the camera, I love, like, yes, I'm all about it. So it was a combination of all of that for me.
Honestly, same. When I first got the audition and I read the synopsis and I got the script, I read it all in one sitting, and it was something I was completely drawn to. I'm a girl from Texas, and so this is a story that happened in Texas, and I didn't even know about it, which was shocking to me. And so I'm just so happy that Latino stories are being told and we're being heard. And I was just so drawn to Daniela. I think she was just so ahead of her time, and I'm just rooting for this movie so much and rooting for Latinos telling stories and people of color telling their stories. It's something that's very important to me and I'm very passionate about. And this was just the one. As soon as I read it, I was like, I have to be in this.
Yeah.
So, and here I am.
No, yeah, and speaking of character, I was wondering how much of yourselves did you bring into your character, as well as how much of Daniela and Lucy do you feel rubbed off on you?
Ooh, that's a good question. I I mean, to be able to go back in the 50s. I mean, I wish that one of my superpowers was to travel back in time, and not obviously because back then wasn't the best time to, I mean, yeah, they were there. It was not a great time to live in, but I just the fascination, the just to be a fly on the wall and witness everything that those people have gone through. From, I mean, that's a whole another conversation, but just to be a woman in the 50s and to feel like you have power but still feel silenced is pretty, I mean, it's interesting. I didn't know how to play it other than just to support and understand the situation, my husband, my life, my goals, what I wanted, having to sacrifice that and put my personal needs aside. It was interesting. It was, I mean, for me personally, I'm feisty. I like to, like, stand up for what I believe in and speak up and put my foot down. And there were times in the story where I had to stay back and sort of let things happen and just be a bystander. So that was a little challenging, but I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this, but the simple idea of having to go back in that time was so beautiful and fascinating for me.
For me, I said Daniela is very ahead of her time. And I think I drew a lot of inspiration from my mom, and I think she was also a lot of ahead of her time. And she's very much a chingona, and I love that about Daniela, and that's what drew me to her. She wants to be a writer. She just has so much going for her, and I mean, at the end, she has to choose between a boy and her career. And I mean, she gets accepted to UT Austin, and she just wants to grow and go outside her small city and, you know, do more for her community. And I just think that that's something that resonated with me and my family and my grandma. And I mean, I grew up surrounded by women, and they're all so strong and powerful. And I just like wish that my grandma was alive so that I could hear her stories of when she was alive during the 50s. But I absolutely love this film, and I can't wait to watch it.
Yes. With Daniela specifically, she has a complicated relationship with Joe. I would love to know, would you have navigated it differently, or did you find yourself totally in sync with your character?
I felt like I was in sync with her. I was totally in sync with her, and even, I mean, can we like talk fully about it? Because I would love to. But even like when they do go through the bumpy times, she chooses herself, which is, I feel like, was really rare in the 50s. She chooses herself into basically her career, and I think that that was just so powerful. And I was rooting for her the whole time.
Heck yeah. And for you, Jaina, Lucy wants a family and she's able to find it with these boys. You know, like later on, her life changes up to a certain point, but how did you approach that specific aspect of your character, especially that scene on the porch when they're talking? And then you have that montage of them like with the cake and everything in the backyard. How was that dynamic?
Well, it's interesting because I actually felt that a few years ago where I thought I was ready to be a mom and have a family, and that it's such a oh, I can't even describe it because it's one of those things where it's such a sensitive subject, because to have that need to be a mom and be ready to take on that task is, I mean, you have to be in the right space, in the right mind. And that was something that she was sure she wanted. I just want to be a mom. I just want to have a family. And I guess the struggle with that and being unsuccessful in that, but also seeing what it would be like and imagining the whole experience with those boys, there was a moment where she kind of just let it go and like accepted that maybe these boys will fulfill that void. And maybe, you know, they are sort of like a family, and these boys are like sons to JB Peña. And then it finally happens at the end, which, should I say that or not? I mean, yeah, sure. Why not? She, you know, I mean, it ends up working out at the end. And it's so beautiful, you know, she comes full circle in that. And I kind of relate to that because I did feel that at one point of my life. And it was such a, you know, like life altering moment for me. And now I'm opposite. Now I'm like, you know what? No kids, 0 kids. They drive me crazy. No, but I do love them. I love my friends' kids, and that's enough.
That's enough. That is enough. My sister
Yeah.
just had a baby, and so I'm like, perfect.
Yeah.
I don't want one yet, but not anytime soon.
I can feel what it's like just for a little bit. Yeah.
I can get them back.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to circle back a little bit to lessons learned on the set. Is there something that you learned either through the performance or through the story that you see yourself bringing onto future projects?
I mean, I think for me, just the simple fact of how much a village it takes to create a movie. I mean, we shot in Colombia, and then we shot in Texas, and then we had 2 different sets of crews. And I mean, we really pulled it together, but also it reminds you, like, it is hard. Number one, to create a story and to tell a story, but to produce it and for it to all line up and come together. I mean, I have a bigger respect for everyone just in this business. This was my second film, and I had an amazing time. The process was something I've never experienced before. Like we were on a tight schedule. We pretty much didn't have any time to rehearse. The weather restrictions in Colombia were insane. And so through the rain, through the cold, we kind of just like, we knew exactly, we were prepared. We kind of understood the blocking, and then we shot it, and that was it. Moving on. Like, it was very thrilling as an actor, and I'd do it all over again.
Same. I have more of an appreciation for the artwork. Julio Quintana, who is the director, he is just so open to collaboration. I think that's something that's so beautiful, and you get to create something and bring ideas, try things, try other things, and that was just so exciting and refreshing for me. It was just such a wonderful experience, even though it was like my experience on the long game, it was very short, but it was wonderful, and I have nothing but good things to say about the cast and the crew. It was just so wonderful.
Absolutely. And I know that before we started recording, I was speaking with Jaina and we were talking about the color grading, and just it's nice and refreshing to see a story like this be told by Latinos about Latinos, but also that it doesn't feel like we're benefiting from trauma. We're actually celebrating all throughout the story.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly. And we need more of that. Definitely need more films like this.
Totally.
And gonna happen.
Yeah. No, it's also interesting that we're finally getting to see these stories because it took so long. Like, I was commenting to a friend that I was interviewing you guys, and I told her about the movie, and she was like, golf is not easy. It's inspirational, to say the most.
Yeah. There are so many stories out there like this that have not even been told, that have not been written. And I mean, they're going to resurface. They have to resurface, and we're going to make movies about them.
Yeah. And back to golf. I mean, I took maybe like a couple lessons, and it's one of those sports that looks so easy, but then when you actually do it, you're like, oh my gosh, I wouldn't be able so much mental multitasking.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an art form. It's an art
especially when your co-star JB Peña, his character, like he says, like, it's a mental sport, and it's true. It's all in your head, and like it's so easy to be thrown off by a comment or anything.
Right. And Dennis Quaid, who's also like he's a great golf player, and he's showing me lessons, and that was pretty trippy.
Yeah. I can imagine.
I've been talking to the boys. They really appreciate golf now. They say that it's really relaxing once you have that state of mind, and that it's just like such a distressor. And
some people say it's
beautiful that they found.
Yeah. Some people say it's like meditative.
Yes. And I would just be stressed. I would be like, I can't hit the ball. And so I'm just like so happy that people got to find a new groove to it, and meditation. That's amazing.
Yeah. Especially, this is my final question. The Long Game turned out to be such an inspirational story. It's such an inspirational film. And I really admired the energy you both brought into these characters. I wanted to know, what's something that inspires you to keep going?
The community. Telling stories and being a voice for them is very important to me. And even doing a show like Ashley Garcia and Fate the Wing Saga, a great community of people in the Latino community, they just really want to uplift everybody, and especially with the stories that I want to be telling, like The Long Game. I just want people to open their eyes and see that we're people too. And I mean, another thing that inspires me to continue going is my family, and their support is always just there, and I think that that's just so wonderful.
I mean, you well said. Beautiful. I agree. The community, but also as a performer, just to be challenged and and be immersed in different circumstances that I myself in my life have never experienced is beautiful, because through story we can inspire and motivate, and I love that power that storytelling has. Yeah,
Absolutely. I couldn't have said it any better. It was so lovely chatting with you both. I can't wait for people to see this film. Can't wait for people to experience it. And thank you so much for sitting down with us.